Batoning, round 2, electric boogaloo, CPM 3V steel, this cold steel, AK-47 field knife, frozen log edition. Now let's try and get through the middle of the frozen log. Try a different piece of the grain. Probably one more hit. So minus 30 Celsius, pretty humid. So I really like the new edition of this stonewashed 3V cold steel AK-47 field knife. A lot of syllables for that name, but that's alright. And this one's Italian, made in Italy, CPM 3V steel. This knife is a tank. It is stout, to say the least. On the stonewash finish, I wanted to kind of experiment and see what I could do with using yellow mustard to force a patina, and it worked. although it is not a heavy. In the right light, you would see these kind of dots and stripes show up a lot more. But I think it did a pretty good job. I just wanted to see how it. And also, I did a little experiment after batoning it in the snow, and no rust or anything showing up, just a little. I think I just left it heavier on this side with mustard, so you got that darker patch of patina there. But as you can see, what I'm trying to focus on is the edge. Absolutely no dings or chips or anything like that from batoning a frozen log in the snow. Yeah, there we go. My only complaint about this knife is on the rear end of the handle. Just like on the AK-47 folding knife, is kind of this sharp hump at the back and how fat it flares out at the backside. Not the most comfortable to use over a long period of time, although this main portion here, especially choking up, is amazingly comfortable on your hands. So this is a heavy bugger. It's 11 ounces and it's 5 millimeters thick. And I call this my, actually I gave this name to the knife Kimmy Schmidt because it's unbreakable. The blade length is 5.5 inches, so it is a great overall camp knife. It can baton smaller logs for sure. Can't really chop because it kind of lacks that weight and that throw. And the handle, when you choke back on it and you start chopping wood with it, is extremely uncomfortable, although it is very secure. With all these choils and this forward guard, you never have to worry about it slipping off your hand. Overall, it's 10 inches, 4.8 inch long handle. It's got a nice smashing pommel on the back. The spine and the pommel isn't sharp enough to strike ferro rods extremely well, so you may need to get a file and touch that up. I like the jimping on the back. It's actually serious and allows you to get a little more sturdy control. Forward choking up is very comfortable. Check the stoutness of that tip on that modified clip point. Saber grind absolutely blasts wood apart. Nice execution on the sharpening choil up there, and you got enough of flat space by the guard, especially with the gloved hand. That choking up is very nice. Handle is kind of blocky. Again, yeah, it's basically just a literal copy and paste of a folding knife, but then extending out the blade, because now you can without having a folding junction there. The G10 is aggressive, not super aggressive like early cold steel knives were, but it definitely does the job. It's got nice chamfering on the inside of the handle. You got this nice milling on the side here, and the handle is comfortable for sure. Again, besides that, this little hump at the back, I would totally get that rounded off in the future. Big lanyard hole, and after grabbing it and squeezing it, no real hot spots. Besides, when you choke back like this definitely gets into the meat of your hands, and that's why I don't have the cold steel AK-47 folder either. I just found that very uncomfortable over long-term use. I like how you have just two bolts on the G10, so you could easily uplift this, really deeply clean that 3V handle slab there. But you could also just use this as a template and make whatever scales you want. So I think I may do that as a future project. Get my hands on some desert ironwood or something like that. Trace on the design, but then I totally would just add a bit of a palm swell in the middle, at the middle here. I feel that would make it really comfortable. The sheath, as always, I like Securex sheaths by Cold Steel. I find that they do not dull the blade as they're rumored to. I find that people are literally pulling out the blade and then they're just dragging it kind of at the bottom of the sheath. But as I find, I take the knife out, I drag the spine on the top side of the sheath, and you do have quite a bit of clearance. So as you can see, there is a drainage hole. We've got this extra wide clasp here for the handle. You can switch, you can take off these screws and switch the belt loop to be left or right side. You've got lots of different lashing options if you want to slap on a tech lock or different bands and whatnot. I like how they included these slits, so you could just run webbing through, so you can mount this like, as say like what I did to my Cold Steel OSI sheath is make it into like sort of a leg carry or mount it onto a pack or something. I really like the belt loop addition that Cold Steel puts on these sheaths. Basically it's just, you know, the hardware, a little piece of firm rubber here, a nylon, and then you've got the button snap with Velcro, so that way you can put this on your belt without having to take it off your pants. And this knife is a bit smaller than I remember when I had the first one, where it was the blackened blade. But here's just a quick comparison to Spyderco Paramilitary 2. So as you can see, basically about the same handle size, essentially. Shorter blade, obviously. But yeah, it's a great all-around everything knife. Camp knife, combat knife, survival knife, hunting knife. I would love to take this thing out and do some skinning and butchering with it. I think the 3V steel would do really well. I like how you've got this really nice big portion of flat blade here for slicing your food and carving feather sticks, whatnot, but then a decent amount of belly as well. And you've got that point of the blade pretty much lined up direct center with the handle, so you get really efficient penetration if you really need to.